Welcome back to a 67 Camaro video here on ShopDog-Garage. I actually had some time on a Sunday that I could steal for myself and decided to come over here. I got the fender off. I've been playing with the alignment on these hinges on this side. Remembering, I already know I'm not happy with this door. Goodmark blew it on this door. I'm going to have to fix it. But you can see I'm getting closer and closer to what I want here. Probably gonna have to do some build up in there, not sure yet, but what I need is that body line. This can be ever so slightly raised based on every other car I've looked at, but it can't be below it. And I want this gap down here to be pretty consistent. So right now that's where we're at. I'm gonna put tape on it and then try to rehang this fender again, remembering that this door has a goofy shape here, so I'm going to be doing some work here no matter what. Also, you can see where it's been rubbing down there and right here. So, you know, fitting the fender, there's a lot to it. What I'm really worried about is that first pass that fitment had an awful lot of gap. So what I would like, here, let me come over here and set what I think the gap needs to be. Because remember, the hood and the cowl, they're the same width. And you expect a little gap. So I would love for it to sit something like that. You know, I could totally live with that. And you can see, you know, it's not in fact, here, let's place it on the screws. If it was centered on the screws, this is how big our gap is over here. So that needs folded in or folded in, you know. But remember, this also got us really close. So, you know, we may be welding, adding on to the fender. We'll deal with that. I would like to get to a point today where I'm happy with the fender and can put the cowl in, put the front valance on, throw some hinges on, and see how much welding we're going to be doing to this hood. Some of you may remember that you can see it in the mirror there where metal was added on this edge of the hood already at Hot Rod Factory. So makes me nervous. It's also why I never got around to block sanding that, because suddenly it became a, oh no, I've got to maybe have to strip it down a little. So anyway, I gotta get the doors pretty close. I've looked at a lot of cars and it turns out they don't fit all that great. So I just need it to be close enough that your eye doesn't notice it, apparently. Yeah, I mean, that's almost as good as the black car right there. So, well, we'll keep moving. But yeah, figured I better shoot a video. I haven't shot anything on this in a while because I haven't worked on this in a little while, because I do have a day job and it's been a little demanding lately. Okay, with the fender loosely hung, I mean very loosely because I don't even have one of the bolts on, what I'm seeing is if I even want a chance of closing this panel gap, this hole isn't lined up. And you'll also notice they didn't do a good job of lining these two pieces together anyway when they spot welded them. So you can see I've marked out where I think I've got to relieve that. Luckily, when all this goes together, they get a big fender washer, but yeah, aftermarket garbage, it really is garbage. May not seem like it, but I've spent about an hour here just trying to get this sorted. We're getting there. There's something funky going on with this rocker here. It must have been changed at some point because it's not straight. You can see that from the door and the fender. So, of course, once all the bright work's on, you'd never see it anyway. I'm getting really close with this body line, and I'm getting pretty close to a gap I can live with. But more importantly, look how much better this is getting. Yes, I've had to alter the door a little, but we knew we were going to have to. This is getting very close. There's still a little here, but more importantly, because I did that grinding there. Okay, so here's what we think the gap is here. And don't worry about that height, because there's no glass, there's no bright work or anything in there. Come around to this side and let's see what we got. So on this side, we're also tucking in. Now, notice this one, the gap is much better here, but you can see this is pretty similar. It turns out these doors They're not perfect, even factory ones. So I think I'm getting close. Yeah, the other weird thing, and I don't understand why, the pinch bolt inside the door. Oh yeah, here's another thing. One, yes, we know just like the other door, we're going to be adding a little to this door. At least here, and maybe here. I know I've got to do some build up here because this is stamped poorly. But, one, did you hear? Nothing hit. Two, you can see nothing hits. But when you tighten this bolt, it wants to move this down. I haven't figured that out yet. So I'll keep playing with that. But you can see, remembering this door didn't open and close at all because of the way this pinched in. And I'm super close here. I've got this level, but this, you know, you can see there's a gap here. One, bright work goes here. I don't know that you'd ever notice it, but two, I still got a little pounding and filling I can do here. I can bring this around more to match what I've had to do to the door. Remember, this stuck way out. There's actually quite a bit of work there. Now you can see, had to kind of fold that over, pound it down. And there's a few witness marks here, but honestly, those will fill in. You'll never know they were there, except, you know, you watch the video, so now you do. Height difference here's a little bit, but remember, that winds up sitting on all of that. In fact, it'll be bolted like that. So I think I can get that to where I'm happy. My bigger thing is by grinding this point, and it wasn't that much. It really wasn't. Now I can pull this in where it needs to be. And there's a much better chance that the hood's going to clear and fit and have a reasonable gap with a minimum amount of welding. Because remember, you can't just fill the roof. Or the hood. You just start adding filler here, and that's going to chip right off. So, no, if you want any material, it has to be metal. So, if I don't have to, let's not. Thought I would start just making sure the front valance is going to work, but obviously, I've got some work to do here. It comes to a high point here. It's also a funny shape, so gonna pull this back off and dolly this in a little bit, see if I can make that a little better. Okay, could not get a dolly back here because of the shape. So what I've been doing is taking the peen side here, or the ball side I guess, and just tapping, and you can see it's starting to curl around and look correct. So just hitting a little below so that this surface is pushing the metal. A bunch of that, and now that line is starting to come out. So it's frustrating. Well, there definitely is a little bit of work. I've got this one started, but I can see that I either need to fold the fender a little bit, or the valance might actually be easier to fold here. So I've got that. It's real easy to see right there. Got that to deal with, and there's like a high point here, and I marked that before. That came with the fender. That's going to be fun. So it's always under tension with the hood latch. This side is actually starting to come together. I've been tapping and tightening and tapping and tightening. You know, just kind of getting it lined up. This is the side where they had drilled the holes out humongous from the old fender. And you can see now that they didn't need to, because it fits better on this fender. So that must have been an issue with the old fender. So you can see though, this is in the realm of doable. That is not holding up my ability to see if the hood's going to fit. So, you know, I may go ahead at this point, call this close enough for the next major panel adjustment. Find some screws. I guess they don't have to be these screws, but find some screws to put in there. Find my hinges. Get everybody snugged enough to do this. And we'll go from there. Maybe we try to hang this today, maybe we don't. Not sure yet, but yeah. Hopefully this squares up. Yeah, height-wise, it's not terrible. That's workable. I did work a little more here, where Harlan really knocked that dent out pretty well. I did a little more because there was a high spot. But honestly, I think once we're done sanding that, if I didn't point it out, you'd never know. This side is a much better match. See, it doesn't have that sharp turn here. I've got to figure out how to fix that, because they obviously did that when they welded these brackets in, which, don't know if you noticed, they also not even close. So probably going to be loosening and moving some things. That side's pretty close. This, I mean, look at that. They're 10 miles out. Hopefully I have that kind of adjustment in here. Otherwise, we got a different set of problems. So, anyway, 3 things at a time here, guys. 3 things. Okay, I think this gapping is probably not going to be terrible. You know, I gotta play with a little bit here, but we're still well within its adjustment range. The big thing being that peak there, because it doesn't matter what I do here, that peak has to line up with that peak because it runs down the entire length of the hood. Well, for all future attempts, I'm gonna go bug Harlan. I thought I would be nice and leave him alone on this Sunday and let him rest, but holy monkeys, that's not as easy as I thought it would be. So, old fat guy, he got the hood on there. Took a lot of towels, but whew, that's not as easy as it was 30 years ago. So here's one of the things I need to know. See, you can see I got some work here, but right here, see, they had welded that. Do I have to unweld that now? What's about to happen? I haven't done anything yet. Oh yeah, I don't have the ornaments on, so the hood's a little stiff. Okay, looks like plenty of gapping on that side. Probably snugger on this side. I don't have any kind of alignment on the hinges at all. Obviously, we're a little up. There's a lot of adjustment I can do yet there. What I need to know is, how are things squaring up? Yeah, definitely got to come this way towards the drivers. Got to come down a lot, obviously, but I just have the hinges all the way up. Thought that was safer, and it looks like she's going to have to come back. Although, remember, the cow can come forward quite a bit, so I'm not as worried there. My bigger concern is probably here. Yeah, no, I've got to move her all back. So, okay, I'm going to play around. And just like with the deck lid, how you don't really understand what's happening. I'm getting closer, but I'm not sure why. Obviously, this corner needs to go that way. Forward and back I'm not worried about. It's just odd. It's not as simple as you just pop it on, you know, slide it on that side of the hinge a little further. That seems to have the opposite effect. So, let me lift the hood. Okay, so see, I've got that loose because I'm playing with that. But it's not as simple as, you know, sliding the hood that way on the hinge. That actually causes it to do something completely different. So I'm trying to figure all this out. So it's also not as simple as just drop both pieces. Something to do with the way that spring works. It seems like picking up the front of the hinge brings down the back of the hood. So very strange. Turns out this is quite frustrating. So just keep playing a little here, a little here. I've never seen it before, but Harlan says he's seen people have to shim the hinge too. So we're playing with shims because this hood has to go that way. Just has to. Okay, it's not perfect yet. We're starting to get there. Obviously the back's got to come down a little. But what I'm looking at is, and I don't have bump stops, but you can see we're starting to get a slightly better shape here. Don't worry about the cow. I can move that forwards and backwards and up and down a little bit. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about this. See, it's getting better. Still tight right here. We've been playing with where shims do things, and it's not as straightforward as it seems, but nothing ever is. Okay, I'm running into the frustration zone. Still learning how this works. I can move this to either side of this, but I can't get my gaps the way they need to be. And we're having a heck of a time getting her to be forward enough on the valence, not hitting the cowl. The cowl doesn't seem to want to move back enough. But the one I haven't figured out is, what do I do here? How do I bring that down at all? I don't remember this being an issue. I mean, it might be that we just don't have this tilted right, but it is hard into it, which tells me that all this has to come forward, even though, honestly, this is about what it was before. But you can see it needs more movement. I think I've got some more learning to do. You know, you can see I get a little adjustment wiggle back and forth here, but obviously not a ton, because if nothing else, wiper arms. You know, that's going to be my limit, is wiper arms. And these used to be pretty centered way back when. Yeah, and it does come up a little bit higher here, but not a ton. It's just holding that piece of weather strip. So I don't know. We'll learn some more. There's obviously something I don't know or didn't pay attention to. I'm going to look at old pictures. Anyway, I'll toss this over to ShopRex. I've had about enough. Harlan's got a couple things he wants me to look at, and I think I'd rather do something else for a little while. Thanks for watching. Oh, here. You know, frustrated old fat guy says thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'm going to learn a little bit more about adjusting Camaro hoods. This has been another ShopRex approved video. Thanks for watching.